Hello there, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. It's me, Addison, your favourite friendly furbog, who hangs around the internet and does the nerdy stuff and the nerdy things. And throughout the month of August, we are obviously bringing you Command Fest Pod of Many Things, or Command Fest POMT, where we are releasing an absolute slog of Commander-related content as I journey down the rabbit hole of EDH and learn from the best of the best on Twitter, Twitch, and all sorts, and hopefully get into a few games myself and are able to stream them. Today's guest is MTGoth, or better known as Proxy. Proxy, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do, and where we can find you on the interwebs.
Oh God, you said you're learning from the best of the best. I think I'm in the wrong place.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pressure.
Very much indeed. All you need to know about me is I like Magic the Gathering far too much and post apparently really relatable tweets over at my Twitter, which is at MTGoth. Other than that, I just kind of exist.
Fair enough. So you are mainly a Twitter person, but you've been getting onto a few streams. You were recently on. Me and you were talking before the recording started about Phyrexians for Trans Lives with some pretty big people. There were some pretty big names on that card, so that's pretty dope that you were on there.
Yeah, it was quite fun. I only got one game in, but I won, so that was pretty cool.
Is that something you're hoping to do more of, like more streams and stuff, or was that like a one and done deal because it was a cause you believed in?
Oh, I definitely want to do more streams and stuff. It's just life hasn't made that very easy.
Yeah, it very rarely does. It very rarely does. But yeah, I'm really glad to have you here. I'm really grateful for your time. So we're gonna, before we get on to today's topic, which is a lore unto itself, Vorthos and Magic story. We've got to do the bog standard 3 questions that we've been asking all our guests here at the Pod of Many Things since starting the Command Fest. Are you ready, Prox?
No.
Oh, fair enough. They're coming your way anyway. So, who's the commander you're playing the most at the moment? Who's your favourite commander that you've built a deck for, etc., etc.? Who's your commander?
Well, I'm really enjoying playing Volrath at the moment, but I can't not say that at the moment my favourite commander is Greasefang because rats on motorcycles.
Yep, that is a pretty dope image, and from what I remember, isn't Greasefang's ability actually really good as well? Like,
yeah, but the deck's not really good. It's rat tribal with vehicles.
Yeah, like vehicles are actually pretty dope. Like I didn't really understand the mechanic when Kamigawa first came out. Neon Kamigawa first came out, and like because that's when I was first introduced to vehicles, because I wasn't around when Kaladesh, was it Kaladesh that brought in like the chariot of Escuria? Not Kaladesh. What's it called? Kaldheim.
Kaldheim had Eska's chariot and stuff, but vehicles have been around for a while.
Oh, I did not know that. So there we go. Every day is a school day, I guess. So that's cool that you've got Rat Tribal.
So Greasefang's part.
Yeah, Greasefang is the boy. And then what about
Greasefang's a girl?
Oh, the girl. Sorry. Greasefang is awesome. And then what about a commander who you worry about seeing? If you jump into a pod and you see somebody with that commander, you're instantly on edge and you're like, oh no, not this again.
Any Slivers?
Slivers? Why Slivers? Like, everybody says they're really afraid of Slivers, but they're very rarely played, I feel. And like, you know, like,
because to get a good Sliver deck, it's expensive as fuck.
Ah, I get you. So if somebody,
even cheap Sliver decks are absolutely stupid, and I dislike playing against them.
So basically, you know, if somebody's got a Sliver like tribal like commander or something, then it's a costly deck. They are like I suppose you'd call them like a whale in like mobile games or something like that. Like they've put a lot of money into that deck, so it's going to be pretty good.
Not even that. My friend's got a dead cheap sliver deck that whenever he plays it, he just cascades into more and more slivers, and suddenly he's from having nothing on the battlefield, he's got shit tons on the battlefield, and it's like, dude, stop.
When did this happen? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, it's just like in one turn, he's just got all these creatures, and we're all just sort of sat here like, yeah, I've got like 4 lands and a mana rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you about that one though, because like I've seen a couple of Sliver games and I'm like, why does nobody play this? But then if you're saying that price is an issue, then I now understand why that's now a bit more rare to see. And then my last question for that before we get into the topic is, what's your dream commander deck? What's the dream deck you're hoping to build?
Don't entirely know, actually. I've kind of got what I like. I've got the deck that I really wanted to build, which is Phyrexian Tribal. What I would like is a 5-colour Phyrexian commander from any of the upcoming sets, just so I can shove my Urbrass cards in there, because it's annoying me that not all the Phyrexian text cards can be played in a Phyrexian Tribal deck.
Yeah, that seems a bit annoying. I'm not gonna lie. If you've got all those cool Phyrexian cards and you can't play them, so yeah.
Well, it's literally just the Urbrasks that can't go in the deck, and it's like, I feel you. So today we're talking about the lore of Magic the Gathering, because actually, when you think about it, like, this is supposed to be just a card game. We're going to put that in air quotes. It's supposed to just be a card game. It was first described as a role-playing card game. So my first question to you probably is, do you think that one of the main selling points of Magic the Gathering is the story and the lore behind these cards that's like happening in the background? In today's age, not a chance in hell.
Oh, really?
Certainly not. The story took a bit of a stab to the heart recently, so still recovering from that. Back in the day, I can only assume that people are invested in the story because they kept printing books.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they wouldn't have done that if it wasn't making them money.
Yeah, definitely. It was making them money, and a lot of people have really strong connections to characters and events and things, planes, due to that story, even in today's standards. So you don't think it's a major selling point anymore, but it was back in the day. What do you think's the? Well, you said it took a stab in the heart. What do you mean by that? Where do you think it went wrong?
The War of the Spark novels.
I did hear that they were pretty awful. Like we talked about that in our like abandoned episode where we had to give up recording. But yeah, I heard those were pretty terrible.
Secret abandoned episode, guys.
Yeah, there was an abandoned episode because things kicked off at my house. But yeah, the War of the Spark novels seem to. What do you think were the main failings of the War of the Spark novels? What was the main issue you had with them?
They absolutely butchered characters. That was great. Everyone loved the creative decisions behind the War of the Spark story. Absolutely everyone. It was perfect, and I don't think we'll get another Magic story quite on that level anytime soon.
I love your sarcasm. So, yeah, because you'd think with War of the Spark, we'll go into like putting things in order in a minute, but like we're on this train. Like, you'd think with the concept of War of the Spark, which is like all the planeswalkers being like brought to and trapped on a plane that Nicol Bolas had like taken over, and with his like undead army, you'd think that would make room for like this epic, like heroic story, like almost like Avengers Endgame-esque. Even though I think
That's what it was compared to in the
yeah,
build-up.
yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be like a big Avengers film or something," and it was dead exciting, and it had the potential to be really fucking cool, but it wasn't.
Yeah. just wasn't. Just no. Like you were burnt by this. I can feel it through the monitor, through the microphone. You were fucking.
I still have yet to pick up the second book. I've read it online, but I like can't bring myself to actually pay for it.
Oh, like that bad. Oh, I've got you. I've
I,
got
I
you.
bought the first one. I got a hardback of that because the book actually released before the set dropped, and it was quite interesting to me that I could piss my friends off by spoiling the entire story. But then I read it, and it was like, oh shit.
Oh no, this is bad. So let's talk. Let's go back. So the let's go back. We've had a bit of a conversation. We've warmed up. So the lore of Magic the Gathering starts actually with the player, right? And this is really weird, and this is why it was called a role-playing card game in its like infancy. When it first started, Magic the Gathering was called a role-playing card game because of the fact you took on the role of what was called a planeswalker. So, and your deck of cards represented like a spell book, or that's why it's called a library, a spell book of spells in which you cast to battle against your another planeswalker who is your opponent. So, for the people who don't know, and this is going to sound stupid, but for people who are interested in like Magic the Gathering and stuff, but like, what's a planeswalker? Can you explain that like in a good way for us, Prox?
The best way I'd describe it is Magic is set in a multiverse. Each plane is a different universe with its unique characteristics and unique characters, and all the planes are separated by a thing called the Blind Eternities. Planeswalkers have a latent spark inside of them, and if that spark is ignited, usually by like a serious event in life, good or bad, they gain the ability to travel through the Blind Eternities and visit different planes.
Nice. So they get the ability to like plane shift and jump through like portals and stuff to other planes. Do they? I know the answer to this, but for clarity's sake, do they have to be like powerful like magic users, or can it just be like, can anybody essentially become a planeswalker and then that makes them more powerful magically?
I'm fairly certain just sort of anyone could be a planeswalker, as long, I think, not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain you're born with the ability to have a planeswalker spark. If like some people are and some people aren't, so it just sort of needs to be activated.
Yeah, I feel like in what I've read as well, like since our last episode, like your latent magic ability is always high, but your spark awakening might make your magical abilities a bit more enhanced, especially in the olden days where like to be a planeswalker was essentially to be a god. Like
in the old days of Magic, if you were a planeswalker, you were the fucking shit, man.
yeah, you could like destroy realms and stuff on a whim, and that's kind of why certain
Create your own planes.
yeah, and that's why a lot of like where a lot of magic lore actually comes from, especially in the form of one of its greatest villains, Nico Bolas. If you some people don't consider him a villain. I don't know how you don't, but you know, we move. Like people have their opinions. So do you think that the concept of a planeswalker is quite unique? I think it's quite cool, and like the storytelling of the game, when you think about it that way, is like, yo, I summon these creatures from like, I pull them from other places, like other realms, and I pull them from like I pull like other planeswalkers. When I play a planeswalker, it's almost like they summon that planeswalker for reinforcements, if that makes sense. I really like that idea. Do you think that's like a cool gimmick of the game?
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of the coolest parts because you are a planeswalker fighting for control of a plane, and your cards are your allies and your spells that you know. It's just a great concept, a great idea for like to make a game more interactive.
A bit more like, yeah, a bit more interactive and a bit more. I would probably say a bit more like epic. Like if everything's like almost like a massive life or death consequences in terms of like lore, that's pretty dope. Like you're like, oh, and especially in certain events that Magic have held previously, where people's like they've had like tournaments of like planes versus each other and stuff like that, where like pros would play decks and like that would affect the story basically, like, and stuff like that. I think that was really dope when they did that. I think they did that for, they might have done that with Phyrexia and Mirrodin at one point, way back when, and that was pretty dope. So you're a Vorthos player. Can you explain that to people and that why that might have made me excited to bring you on as someone who can talk about lore?
Just for the people listening back home, in the abandoned episode, this guy right here could not say that to save his life.
I've actually practiced. I was like Orthos, and I was like, oh no, it's a Vorthos. There we go. I even asked you beforehand, didn't I? Like, yo,
Yeah.
how do I say this? And I still got it wrong. Tits. But yeah, what's a Vorthos player, and why does that make you specially qualified to talk to me about the lore of Magic the Gathering?
It's just someone who plays the game mostly for the sake of the story. Like, the story is what really, really got me hooked on this game. Even though the first novel that I read was War of the Spark, I don't know like what happened there to make me be like, oh yeah, I want to learn more about this story. It fucking sucked. But, you know, the second set of novels that I read was the Invasion trilogy, and I actually quite enjoyed them. So that was pretty good.
So if you hang on, so if you're just, and we'll go back to like why that makes you specially qualified. If somebody, Vorthos players mainly play for story with their decks, they construct their decks around the story of cards and stuff like that. So if your first novel was, and I think I spoke about how impressed I was with this then on the last episode that we can finish recording, like that means that you've only been at this for what, 2-3 years, 4? Tops?
My first set was Dominaria into 2018.
So yeah, 4 years. You've been at this for 4 years, and you just know shit. Like you just know so much. Like that's actually really impressive, considering that there are people who have been playing since like beta, and like don't seem to know as much lore as you do. And I don't know if that's because of the fact that they play for the competition and the battle part or whatnot, and they're not Vorthos players, but. Yeah, that's insane that you're like that knowledgeable in that short amount of time.
Well, I've still got room to learn, and I'm sure that even on this, I will have said something that's wrong. And if I have, feel free to correct me, anyone listening here, because I always like a learning opportunity if I have messed up.
Yeah. So Vorthos, how does that make you specially like qualified to talk about like the lore and stuff? If you just play decks or cards because of the lore that they have, surely that just, how does that make you like really good at talking about lore?
It doesn't. I wouldn't say I'm specially qualified. I'd just say I spend a lot of my time being a nerd and reading about Magic's story.
That makes sense.
You can get some of the story from the cards, certainly, but I have spent many, many hours reading up on Magic story because it intrigues me and it's interesting.
So what was like your first like what was like your first like what started the addiction? That I guess that's what I'm trying to say. What was the one that made you go what was the thing that made you go, I really want to see this go through, or I want to see how this ended? What was the thing that got you hooked on the lore of Magic the Gathering?
Well, the first thing was, you know how sets have story spotlight cards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just like really interested in them, and because I've got a tedious nature to collect things, I decided that I wanted to collect all the cards that said story spotlight on them and put them in an order in a binder. Like I've never got around to doing that because I couldn't be asked, but that's where I started getting interested in the lore, because collecting all the cards that I did from like trades with friends and stuff, I started piecing things together. The story spotlight cards. The earliest one I had was from Kaladesh. I'm not sure if there was ones from before that or not. I don't want to say if there was or not because I do not know. But the earliest one I had was one from Kaladesh. And I just started piecing it together from there. And nothing ever really happened with it until I'm in a few Facebook groups for buying and selling cards because they do cheaper prices than Card Market. And someone was selling the Invasion cycle of books for about tenner, which was a really good price for them. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll buy them and read them, see what happens. And once I read through them, I was like, shit, I want to know what led up to this point. I want to know what comes after with these specific characters, because it was actually quite cool. And then about a year ago, I saw someone selling a like shit ton of the Magic books for also a really good price. It was still expensive. It was like 200 quid for all the ones that I got, but I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go all in, and I just bought them all, and I'm still making my way through them.
Yeah. So your first thing was like the actual cards themselves that were story spotlights, like the and you're right, every set has them and they like list them, like these are the cards that are like essential to the story. So like like unnatural or I can't remember what it's called for Innistrad Midnight Hunt, but it's the one with Teferi, Arlen and Catilda on it. Something moon sunrise. It's something about the sun, and it's like if you have that list, like there's a load of cards that then they also have like the flavor text also helps to tell the story as well. So those are pretty dope. Do you like, when you look back on that and you look at those characters, what was the thing that made you go, ooh, I really like them? Was it their characterization? Was it their like their aesthetic? Because some people really like some of the cards and the characters for their looks. So like that's one of the reasons why a lot of people liked Jace when they were younger, because Jace was the cool edgy guy with the hood on. Was that it, or was it like their characterization, or was it the things that were happening to them?
A couple of things first. Just googled it. It was Kaladesh that had the first story spotlight cards.
Sorry?
I'm awesome for knowing that. I'm really cool. And I'm fairly certain. Did I cut out?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So. You right? Oh no. We have technical issues
Give me a
here,
sec.
folks.
That fixed the problem?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Just turn it off and turn it back on again. Brilliant. Technological genius. Uh, so I was saying it was Kaladesh that the story spotlight card started off in, and the card you were talking about is Glorious Sunrise.
That's the one. Yep. Perfect. Thank you. And like, yeah, so Glorious Sunrise is one of those cards in Innistrad Midnight Hunt. I think I have it. I need to look and see if I've still got it. Or it might be on my Magic Arena. But yeah, no, it just seems really cool that that you that you have this like knowledge and you have this drive to find out more. So what made you like, so to repeat the question after the little fuzzy thing, what was the thing that made you like really connect to the characters? Was it their characterization? Was it what was happening to them? Was it their like aesthetic, how they were described? What really made you like, these guys are dope?
Well, after reading the Invasion trilogy, the main question on my mind is why the fuck is Urza such a bastard?
True. Like, true. Like,
Like, I wanted to know why he was how he was. Uh, and I'm very, very glad that he died.
oh Jesus! Like, we were talking about this. Like, we like a lot of people put respect on Urza's name because of like what he did and like how some of the decisions he made, like both doomed and helped like the multiverse in general. Like Dominarius, or is that's what it's called, isn't it? Dominarius or Dominus?
Dominaria or
Yeah,
Dominia.
Dominia. Sorry, yeah. So Dominia. And it helped, but then yeah, you're right that he was a bit of an asshole and like did some shady stuff and like ruined other characters' lives and stuff like that. So let's jump into that then. You're talking about Urza, like who would you say are like the main characters of Magic the Gathering? Like who are our protagonists of the Magic of the Gathering story?
I'm glad you phrased it as protagonists, because protagonists don't necessarily have to be good guys. Urza was definitely the poster child and the quote-unquote goodest boy of them all in early Magic.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely everyone's favourite little scrunko. Then, I guess when we got towards like the Weatherlight trilogy and stuff, Gerard and like the crew of the Weatherlight started being presented more. And then we hit Lorwyn and Jace Bellerin fever swept the nation, baby.
Oh baby, yeah. I quite like Jace as well. Like I quite liked him when I first started. So yeah, that's pretty dope.
Jace was also my first favourite Planeswalker.
He was mine as well because I just kind of really like I just really like the fact that he was like this really powerful memory boy who was like, because I feel like Jace also came out at that time of like the edgelord phase of the 2000s. Like Sasuke Uchiha is every anime boy's like background. Like people think they're refined because they watch Death Note and they're like, Light was right. I don't know, like the edgy boys are like all over the place. So when Jace turns up, you're like, another edgy boy to add to my collection. Like, so yeah, I love Jace as well.
You know, at one point I had every single Jace Bellerin card.
I have Jace Vryn's Prodigy Flipwalker from Origins, and
Yeah, another one.
I really want to build a deck around it. Like, and it's just
I had a neutral Jace's deck. I bought a Jace the Mind Sculptor at like the height of its price.
Oof,
That's the only one I don't have anymore because I sold it because it's pricey, and I never used it because I don't play blue anymore.
Oh, do you just hate blue? Is that what it is? Like,
I don't hate blue. It's just my playstyle sort of morphed. I used to play mono blue decks. Every deck I'd ever play would have blue in it because I loved blue. And then not too long ago, it shifted to red, and I built a mono red deck, and I loved it, and I had the time of my life. and now I'm in the correct phase of my life of being in love with mono black.
I see. So you evolved, and you decided that you've found your color. Whereas with me, I kind of just went, yo, green's my favorite color. I'm gonna play green. Oh wait, they're big stompy boys. I like the big stompy boys. I like to swim with the big
Green does
stompy
have
boys.
colossal dread more, so you've got a good point there.
Yeah, like I'm just there like, no, these are great. I love these. Right, we're gonna keep, and like and Boar. What's the Boar guy called? The one that you just summon and it just ends the game. What's his name? I think he's from Pharos, but he's like the big Boar guy, and he like he just takes over the game. But yeah, there's so many. So I also appreciate the fact that you've like grown, because I didn't grow up. I think the only thing that I grew up out of was actually kind of the reverse. When I first started playing, I was like, Golgari all the way. Like, I can just straight up murder bitches. Like, and like, rah, rah, rah. Why would you play blue? Why would you bounce something thinking that it will come back next turn? And then as I grew up, growing up was kind of like going, oh no, blue is like ridiculously useful. Like, I've been like hardcore against these cards for years, and I'm like, no, I'm so dumb. Like, if it's dead, it doesn't take up any more resources apart from the graveyard and revive spells, whereas if I keep bouncing stuff back to their hand, like, they have to keep paying the mana for it. Like, so yeah, I find that really funny. So if those were like the protagonists, because Jace is still kind of the protagonist in modern day Magic. Like, if you can get a Jace card in there, especially when he became like the walking guild pact and everything, and like when he lost his memory, and what's that set called? The pirate set. Ixalan, yeah. When he like loses his memory, he's still pretty much like the protagonist of Magic, because even in like War of the Spark, doesn't it come down to basically like Jace and Liliana Vess, like making it work and making it so that everybody just doesn't die.
Ugin as well. Ugin,
yeah.
Pretty much, Liliana was the one who absolutely fucking murked Bolas, but Ugin and Jace decided it was best, instead of letting Bolas die, because Bolas come back from the dead before, they sent him to Ugin's meditation realm, and Jace and Ugin are the only people who know this in the canon. They're the only people that know that Bolas is alive.
So he's still out there, and then like
he's got no powers, but he's still out there.
Yeah, but even so, like Nico Bolas just being around is a problem, isn't it? Like, just to, he's just
a stripped him of Spark, so I'm not sure. Like, he'll probably come back eventually, but I don't know if it'll be to the same extent, because they literally, like, Liliana had his Spark ripped out from him.
Yeah. So in terms of your favorite character, then, because we're still on the thing about the characters and stuff, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite character, and like, why are they your favorite character?
Whoever the hot bitch is on Earthbind.
I'm pretty sure there is genuinely someone who knows that as well. That's the crazy thing.
Probably. If I was to choose at the moment, it would be Chandra. I just love my little lovable Scrunkolo.
Yeah, Chandra. Love the fact that she's like the fiery, like just like literally hot girl, like fiery girl. Love that. And I quite like the fact that they brought in like what's her name, like the old Firemancer woman from like way back when, to train her as well. I thought that was really cool.
Kaya Ballard.
Yeah, Kaya. Is it Kaya? Sorry.
Jaya or Jaya.
Jaya, yeah.
I say Jaya.
Jaya Ballard is like really cool as well. Like she just comes in as like every time like in like the novels, whenever Jaya turns up and Chandra's in like the same room, things get really weird really quick. Like it's like, oh no, it's almost like, oh no, my teacher's here. I've got to behave, but Chandra can't do it. Like, she makes me laugh so much. My favorites are obviously like Arlen. I love Arlen Cord from Innistrad. She's my playmat. I've got the D Suzuki like alternate War of the Spark art for her. Like, she almost died. We talked about the fact that she almost died in Midnight Hunt, and I was like, like no, not like this. Because also
Crimson Vow, she almost died.
Crimson Vow, sorry, yeah, Crimson Vow, she almost died. Her pack betrays her in Midnight Hunt, sorry. Like, she's just gone through it. She was just a kid, and she suddenly turned into a werewolf, pretty much. Like, because that's one of the cool things about Innistrad werewolves, is like, you don't always have to be like bitten by a werewolf to become one. Like, sometimes it just happens to you. It's just like, yo, you hear the howl, enjoy. Like, you hear what do you mean? Tovolar, who I'm building a commander deck around, is a great villain. Like, I feel like he's a great villain, even though some people are like, he's just like the big hulking like threat. I'm like, but that's dope. That's so cool. Like, he's so cool. Yeah, I love Arlen, because she's like what we would call the tragic maiden archetype in writing, because of the fact that she has like and like a stereotypical gothic heroine is like she hasn't chosen the circumstances that have befallen her, and she's having to like deal with it. And like she's kind and she's quite sweet, although she can be quite cranky as well. When you think about the fact that she used to be like a nun, and then obviously has been hiding as a nun for a while. She's just great. I love Arlen. So with characters out of the way, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to the lore of Magic the Gathering is like the events, because like a bit like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now, I guess, it's like sprawling and all encompassing, and like it's been going on for years now, and it gets a bit confusing as to where everything fits. Does that make sense?
Definitely with the older stuff. Modern day Magic's pretty linear timeline wise, but old Magic was a bit wacky.
Yeah, and like they reference it and stuff. It's a bit like when you are a comic book fan. Like, I love DC and Marvel comics. Like, films, yeah, they're all right. Like, but comics are like my jam. And like, it's really hard sometimes when somebody goes, "I want to read that. Where should I start?" And you're like, you should start at this event, but you also need to read this event, and this event to make sure that you understand why this is happening. So, if you were to like recommend like what are the big events in Magic the Gathering's history that people need to take note of, so that they know if they want to get into this story, these are the things you definitely have to look at?
Ayo, I just hit 600 followers. Let's go,
baby.
Let's go.
But yeah, what are the things that you've definitely got to look at if you're feeling where was I going with this? I've just you've
Let me just answer the question. I've derailed it. I know what you asked, so I'll answer the question. The best place to start right now is probably by reading The Brothers' War, because it's going to be incredibly relevant coming up.
So what it's
also it's the best place to start because it's the first book.
And so if you could summarize The Brothers' War for us, what is that?
So Ezra and Mishra are two little like baby boys. They get sent to a little artifact camp, and Ezra likes playing with his little toys. Mishra likes playing with his little toys, not as much. Mishra likes talking to the other people and doing all the digging and stuff. They don't get along very well. but they're brothers, so they love each other. It's all very wholesome and sweet. Urza makes a big flying machine out of a Thran relic of
Mm-hmm.
a Thopter, Ornithopter, and goes out on a little scouting thing. They find this cave that's got a ton of like Thran relics in it, which is like, holy shit, this is really cool. And there is a big shiny power stone on the wall, and it's never actually like fully explained what happened because that's another way of drawing conflict. But one of the brothers, uh, they both sort of like reach for the stone, and it splits into two halves: the might stone and the weak stone. And each brother gets a half, and each brother wants the other half. So they
Yeah.
start getting really pissy with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they fall out. Mishra runs away, and Urza is also leaves because their like mentor dies, and it's all really sad. Uh, then Urza gets married to the daughter of a king because he uses super cool machines to move a statue, and becomes Lord High Artificer. While Mishra becomes a slave and eventually works his way up to also being quite a high position in a like rival sort of faction, and those two places start going to war with each other. Uh, Mishra ends up becoming the leader of this one group and absolutely annihilates the city that Urza's living in. Urza is then like, "Oh shit, fuck,"
Oh no.
and has to like sort of retreat to the bylines, and then he becomes the leader of his own thing, and they both start like absolutely harvesting the land for all its minerals and everything, and just sort of like destroying everything, and it's just kind of not cool of them to do that.
Well, you do say that
And
Thingamajig's a bastard, so Urza's a bastard.
Urza is bastard. Mishra isn't as bad as Urza actually, but that's because he doesn't really get much attention after these books. Uh, Urza has a son with this with his wife, the Queen, uh, and there's a bit of conflict regarding whether the Queen cheated on Urza with Mishra. So it might have been Mishra's son, but it's Urza's son. And Urza's son becomes an ornithopter pilot and finds the like Elven Island, which has like a shit ton of trees, and it's like, ah, hell yeah, we can like use these trees and shit for more war stuff. And goes back to tell Urza. One of Mishra's spies tells Mishra, and they both go and fight it out on this elf island. And the elves are fighting both Urza and Mishra to protect their island. And Urza and Mishra are like just fucking around. But in the background of the whole book, when they grabbed the Power Stone, split it in two, it opened a portal to Phyrexia. And you've got this little scheming little lad called Gix.
Kicks.
Yeah, it sounds very close to Gex, and Gex is a great game. I Gex, and that's it for today's sponsor. And Gix has slowly been corrupting Mishra, and Mishra slowly starts becoming Phyrexian.
Oh.
And
So he gets completed, basically.
not fully. He like starts swapping out parts of his body for metal and such. It's sort of like old school completed, not like modern completed.
Yeah, yeah.
But Urza ends up in the possession of this thing called the Silex. This is also in a time where like wizardry is seen as complete hokum. So mana doesn't really like exist because no one really knows how to use
Tap
it.
into it, yeah.
Yeah, but so Urza's got this Silex, and he's heard about magic. He doesn't believe in it, so he's in possession of it. After like melting some of Mishra's face off and stuff, and Urza's like, once he melts some of Mishra's face off, he's like, oh shit, why is my brother now made of metal? Oopsie Daisy. And Urza's like, this shit's gone way too far, because he was warned by another two sets of characters that if I go into this podcast, it's going to be like hours long. But pretty much, he was warned that, hey, this big scary monster now controls all the artifacts, and he's spooky and scary, and his name is 100 Gex, and you just need to be worried about him. And so the other two characters are off distracting 100 Gex, and Urza's just like, shit, well, guess I've got to believe in this magic stuff, and starts tapping into mana to use this Silex, and Mishra's approaching him with a big fuck-off dragon engine that's going to, like, eat Urza's face, and then Urza activates the Silex, which basically nukes everything, and also makes Urza a Planeswalker.
Yeah, so he becomes like kind of like the proto planeswalker, and he starts exploring the planes off that, and yeah, we get the start of that. Is that in Dominaria?
Yes, this is all set in Dominaria. Most of old Magic stuff is set on Dominaria.
Yeah.
Not all, but most. A good chunk of it.
Yeah. Sorry, Dominaria is really important, obviously, because it's Dominaria United is coming up to be printed. You've obviously got...
I've seen the story spoilers that got dropped in the book that's going to be coming out in December.
No,
the preview pages for that.
No, I did not. Like,
oh
what...
man, like, fucking hell, dude.
What did I miss?
It was like a leak, so I'm not sure if it's good to talk about on here. I don't know if people would be upset if they listen and get spoiled.
Fair enough. We'll do it off. We'll do it off off air.
It was an accidental drop, but it was pretty huge stuff that was dropped.
Yeah, because Dominaria is the like prime Earth of like the Magic universe, like multiverse. Like it's like the root world almost. I don't know if that's because Urza started from there and like made his way through the multiverse from there. Well, obviously it has like major events happen on it all the time. Like they had like the mending, obviously, of Dominaria, which caused like major problems throughout the whole of the Magic universe. Like that the mending stopped planeswalkers being godlike entities, didn't it? If I understand that right.
Yes.
Yeah, so like it stopped them being godlike entities, and like it saved the plane because it had pretty much been ravaged and ruined, and like you say, by Urza and Mishra, and then they mended it to.
Well, the mending was something completely different entirely.
Oh, was it? I thought it helps because there's the big tree.
Like so the best way to describe it, Dominaria isn't like anything special of a plane. All the events just link up one after another. They're all sort of intertwined.
Fair enough.
So the Silex blast that Urza caused the Ice Age on Dominaria, because it like fucked up the world. And then it went into a whole like another. Well, the first sort of Phyrexian invasion, where Urza messed with his eugenics program because he's a horrible person. He fucked with time travel.
Yeah.
And all sorts of stuff. But mending is pretty much a result of shit happening. There was loads of these rifts around Dominaria. They were fractures in the planar fabric. They were mostly on Dominaria, but they were also like on some. There was like really little ones elsewhere. But each rift was caused by a major incident, and one incident happened, and it just sort of too fucked up.
Yeah.
So there was rifts from like way back before anything that happened with Bolas. Bolas caused a rift.
Yeah.
Uh, and Bolas also closed that rift. There was another rift which was from Urza's Silex Blast. So pretty much the rifts came from like big things because Bolas's rift came from him fighting some big fuck off demon, which destroyed a load of shit. Urza's Blast was massive. Urza's time travel experiments like fucked up rifts and made them worse.
Mm-hmm.
During the Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria, the proper one in the invasion cycle, and in one of the fucking rawest scenes, and there's a card. Is it? Let me just quickly Google what it was.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll sort of like describe it while I'm also. Okay. So the card of it is called Obliterate. It can't be counted. It destroys all artifacts, creatures, and lands, and it can't be regenerated. But there was Urza's right hand man called Baron, and Baron's family was pretty much wiped out by this Phyrexian invasion, and he had fucking had it with Urza because they didn't get along too greatly because Urza was kind of a little shit.
Yeah.
And Baron was just furious, and the Phyrexians had invaded Teleria. They had completely like taken over that, and so he just fucking nuked it. He obliterated the entire island, and it's a raw ass scene. And Amazon is here.
Amazon's here.
Okay, he does not need my help. He's just sent a text saying that he checked the parcels over the gate.
Oh, this podcast is scuffed, but I love it. I love it so much.
The flavour text of Obliterate is one of my favourite flavour texts because Baron buries his family on this mound overlooking Teleria, and then in his final thing, his final sacrifice, he fucking nukes it all, and the flavour text says, for his family, Baron made a funeral pyre of Teleria. And it goes so hard.
That's actually such a dope one. Like, he made a funeral pyre of the whole place. Yeah, I really think like those flavor texts as well on cards are so effective to like tell like a little bit of story, like even the ones that we know are kind of like BS. Like, it tells you about the card as well, because like, so one of my favorite flavor texts is obviously on my Dream Commander Volo. And on Volo it says, the beholder told me I had a good eye for details. Who was I to argue? And you're just like, what are you lying for? Like, it just tells you so much about the characters and the places and the events that are happening around them. Like, it's just like, you get so much from this like iceberg of Magic lore. Like, you think you're actually quite deep, but then you go further and further down. You're like, oh my god, this is so big. Like, and it's so cool. So the mending obviously mends those.
Yeah, I'll finish that. I won't talk about the other riffs, even though as cool as they are. But the mending happened when Jessica sealed the last, like, huge ass rift, and it just caused all the other ones to heal because enough had been done.
Mm-hmm.
And because the major rifts were on Dominaria, all of those were healed first, and then a sort of chain went out through the multiverse, healing all the other ones. Returning, like, Dominaria was getting fucked over hugely by it, so Dominaria came back to life. Creatures came back, mana came back, and the Planeswalker Spark completely changed. They lost immortality. They lost their godlike powers, and like they just lost a lot of their strength. The mending also stopped planar travel from working. Like, the Weatherlight could traverse through planes.
Mm-hmm.
After the mending, it couldn't do that anymore. Of course, now we've got like the planar bridge.
Yeah.
And especially Tezzeret's a compact planar bridge that can like transport living matter as well.
Through the veil or whatever it's called.
But that was pretty much the mending. Planeswalkers sacrificed their lives and sparks, so Dominaria would be healed and the universe saved.
The image and the art of that card, by the way, like the tree,
Dominaria, the saga of that.
Yeah, the saga of that is so good. Like, it's like got them all on the tree, hasn't it? It's got them all like in the tree. It just looks so cool. Because I quite like the story. One of my favorite bits of storytelling throughout the cards and the flavor text and like the art and stuff. Because the art also tells like great stories. Like you said, the Obliterate art goes fucking hard. Like the Phyrexian corruption of Mirrodin is like really well documented through the art and stuff. Like
New Phyrexia just fucks so hard. I could spend ages just going on about New Phyrexia and how it mirrors old Phyrexia and the comparisons and the similarities and how the planes were sort of like created in the exact same way, but that'd go on for a while.
Yeah, no, because like Khan was one of my favorite characters. We talked about this. He's like my second favorite character because he's like this golem, and then you told me things about him that I didn't actually realize. Because he's like this golem who, you like he could travel. He didn't have a spark initially. He could just travel through the planar veil.
Absorbing the power stones and the rest of the legacy artifacts gave him a sort of pseudo spark.
Yeah,
he wasn't like officially a planeswalker. He just had the ability to traverse planes and some other additional benefits just because of how powerful Urza's legacy was.
Yeah, and then obviously the being known as Khan like inhabits that body of Khan the Silver Golem, gets all their memories, and then their Planewalker spark ignites, and it's just the fact that Khan, like with the BDE, just decides like I'm gonna make my own plane that's perfect, you know, cool, wicked, awesome, brilliant. I'll see you later, and it just kind of disappears, and then Mirrodin just arrives, and everybody's like, what? Like hell, what that? Like, and then obviously New Phyrexia is built there thanks to people like Yawgmoth and stuff like that coming in. And like
Yawgmoth was dead long before New Phyrexia.
I thought he was in it because like I thought he was in it because I swear he gets mentioned in one of the cards. Maybe it's his legacy that gets mentioned.
Yeah, Yawgmoth died in the Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria.
Yeah, but there's just so many cool things.
Phyrexia came about because when Khan left his new plane.
He just left it. That's what I'm saying. He just pieced out. Like it's just like, yeah.
Well, he just went on a little adventure somewhere else. He was back. But the Power Stone, because he has the Power Stones inside of him that were Urza and Mishra's. Mishra's had glistening oil on it, and that was left on the plane, and that corrupted the Golem Memnarch. And Memnarch was like raw as fuck too, and he started bringing stuff in from other planes and all sorts of shit. And he was trying to he was creating a device to give him a planeswalker spark.
Because doesn't Memnarch also he just abducts people and then just puts them in and goes survive? That's
why there was so much variety on New Phyrexia.
Yeah.
But once Memnarch's defeated by a really good little goblin fella.
Yeah.
And when Khan comes back, Khan gets corrupted by the Phyrexians and becomes the father of machines.
Yeah, there's a really beautiful card in the New Phyrexia setting where you see Khan inside this mound of just spikes.
It might be corrupted conscience.
Yeah, and those any card that involves Phyrexia goes hard. It goes hard on the lore, the art, the flavor text. It's and then obviously you get Venser, handsome boy Venser, sacrifice himself to reboot Khan and revive him. And
It's
then
always so funny to me because Khan and Venture had interacted like once before that, and Venture's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to sacrifice myself to save my little buddy."
yeah, it's because of the fact that Venser was like the only like purely artifact based planeswalker at the time, I guess, apart from Khan. So they're like, yo, us artifact boys gotta stay
Well, it's
together.
like they were friends to some sort of degree, but the story makes it out like they were besties forever. When in all reality, if Khan woke up and they were like, "Oh yeah, Venture saved you," it's like, "Oh cool, who the hell's Venture?"
Yeah, I haven't seen that guy in ages. Like, what do you mean he
What
saved
are they
me?
doing here?
Yeah, yeah. What do you mean Venser was here and didn't say goodbye? How rude! Like,
Where is he? I'd
yeah.
love to see that little fella.
Oh yeah, just the lore of Magic the Gathering is so good, and I feel like more people need it because even like you can easily like attach yourself to a character. Like I've attached myself to Arlen, so because I've attached myself to
Oh,
Arlen,
you're a furry.
I'm not a furry. I just like the fact
All right, Captain Werewolf. You're
that
not
he's
a
just
furry.
just werewolves are dope, man. Like they're the best set of cards. Like now that we've got Midnight Hunt, I can actually build a decent commander deck with werewolves in. Do you know how long I've waited for a decent werewolf commander?
Furry.
And then like because now I've learned who Avison is, and I know that Soren Markov is like the biggest asshole, even though people keep drawing him like Tom Cruise from Interview with a Vampire.
Because Soren's hot.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it's fine. Step on me, Vampire Daddy. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
And then
Yes. This is where this podcast was meant to go.
and then Teferi, I know who that is. Like, and you can easily just attach yourself to like one character. The one person I would say to avoid is Jace because you just learn everything in modern Magic because like Jace is just there all the time by accident. Sometimes, like genuinely, like the shadows.
Again, I'm attached to the character in the Earthbind art.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll keep bringing that up as long as I live.
Yeah, she's a baddie, but yeah, no, it's been yeah, like I'm kind of excited for like where we're going because obviously we're being reintroduced to like Joda and everybody as well, like
Yoda, my beloved, Urza's descendant.
yeah, Joda is pretty dope. We'll obviously get the new Jaya Bellerin card looks actually insanely good.
Jaya is not Chandra's mum.
I know she's not her mum, but I'm just saying like Jaya's card looks good.
Jaya Ballard.
Oh, I said Ballard, not Bellerin. Is it Bellerin?
You said Bellerin, and I also said
But
Chandra. Chandra is not a Bellerin, it is Jace that is a Bellerin.
yeah, like I'm
Chandra
getting
is
all
a
the.
Ballard.
See, this is how like you've got to be like that guy in the fucking in the meme with like the board and like going crazy, like it's all connected to keep it up. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's one of the reasons why I really like the game. And like Wizards sometimes puts these like stories out for free. Like obviously you've got the novels, but like with the sets, they release like the short stories or the chapters like on their website.
Yeah, these days all the stories free to read online.
Yeah, so it's pretty dope that they do that as well. And then my last question about the lore then is like planes. What do we think about planes? What's your favourite plane and why is it your favourite?
Planes are pretty cool, you know. They're just little worlds that are all very different from one another.
Is there any particular favourite plane that you've got or?
Well, obviously both Phyrexias. I love my Phyrexia. I do kind of stand Dominaria because it's just kind of cool. A lot of stuff happens there. Ravnica's pretty fucking cool.
Ravnica's all right. I prefer Theros to Ravnica. Like obviously, I've seen both of those in D&D formats now, and I'm a bit like
I don't agree with god worship.
Well, I quite like the fact that well, you can do that in Theros. Like there is literally a whole race in Theros that goes called the Leonin, who just go, yeah, I don't care about the gods; they're just people. like
Yeah,
genuinely,
they don't care, but the gods still exist.
but they're like they're
people at Theros who just deny that the gods exist, and everyone's just sort of like, dude, they're literally right there.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I don't see
But
anything.
I love the fact that the Leonin are ready to scrap gods. They're just ready to like throw hands with them. They're like, yeah, we don't really care about them. They're just guys. They're just people who found like power at some point. We could scrap with them if we wanted to. Like, they can catch these hands. Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, no, they. I feel like that's one of the reasons. The lore of Magic the Gathering is also one of the great reasons why you can have like them go into D&D worlds, because there's so much you can explore. Like plane shift is a thing still. The free supplements that give you most of the Magic the Gathering worlds. One of them gave us Merfolk. One of them gave us like goblins from the Magic the Gathering universe. It was just really, really fun, and I think that the story of Magic the Gathering is so cool if you've got the time to jump into it. I don't think I could ever build Vorthos as a deck. I don't know, like I don't think I've got the patience and like the time to like search for the cards, but like I do sometimes include cards that look cool and have cool little Easter eggs on them. So yeah, I feel you, buddy. I feel your love for the lore, and it's been really exciting talking to you today about that. I really appreciate your time, because obviously we've done this twice now, and this one might be scuffed, and it's going up scuffed, because I love it when like you put the raw episodes are the best episodes in my opinion. But
you can't edit out anything. You can't edit out the Amazon guy coming. You can't edit out when my Wi-Fi had a bit of a stroke.
You can't edit out the step on me, Soren Daddy.
No, that is a must-have. And the things I would let Soren do to me, we can record another podcast on that.
Well, if I was a lewd cast, we'd have it out. But unfortunately for me, I am a good Christian boy with my wife and son. So, like, cringe, not based at all.
Imagine having a family.
Not the Sigma mindset we were looking for from the friendly Furbolg, I'm afraid. But yeah. Thank you very much for coming on, Proxy. If you want to do the shout-outs again as to who you are, what you do, and where we can find you, so we can wrap up and say goodbye to your lovely self.
Well, I am just Proxy. I just have a Twitter, and I'm going to make a tweet about Soren Markov.
I'll be liking that straight away.
And, yeah, just follow me and give me money.
Well, I think we're all on that grind train. But thank you very much for coming on, Goth. Follow them at MTGoth on Twitter. You get to see them post all their first tweets, which are funny as hell, and they're just a great member of the community, and we really appreciate them, and I really appreciate their knowledge. And as always, from us here at the Pod of Many Things, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're safe. I hope you are well. I hope you're having a great time doing it is what it is you do, that you love, that you cherish, and I hope you're doing it with people who not only you appreciate, but appreciate you for who you are. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.